Greetings, my human friends. This is Rudolf of Germany, the tall white alien, and I have been speaking in the video before last about loneliness. Well, loneliness goes hand in hand with a psychological condition which has been brandmarked as a depression. And people who fall in and out of that condition and in the intervals of it have an extreme high, extreme feeling of joy and power. Well, they call them, in today's terms, bipolar. Or, as we used to say in the old days, manic depressive. Well, loneliness is sometimes a result of this kind of depressive situation which some people find themselves in. People are depressed always for a reason. The reason may be imagined, or the reason may be real. You can be depressed because you have experienced bad health, you have experienced family problems or a death of a loved one. You may be depressed because you have tried so many things in your life and nothing came to a fruitful end. There are many reasons to fall into depression. And of course, there are reasons which are not so easily to be detected and by a psychologist or psychiatrist so easily diagnosed. Well, and then there is a third class of people, a class of people which usually fall under the category of depression. But they are not really depressed. They are rather solitary, silent, and dark by nature. They're people, they spend their days and nights by choice, alone, in solitude. I even know of a case of a man who spent 22 hours a day in bed. And the other 2 hours left, usually he spent on the toilet. Yes, such a man I dealt with once before. But an ordinary psychiatrist would call him depressed, or at least mentally deranged in one way or the other. There are different kinds of diagnosis which can be attached to such a behavior. But, believe it or not, this man was spending his whole life like that. From he was very young, after school, until the age of almost 83. And you will not be surprised to hear, at 83 he died, that he died in bed. And every time I saw him and I visited him, he was a very, very pleasant person. He was not in any way miserable, complaining about the life he was leading. So, there are many different ways of living, and you have to be very careful if people tell you the way you live, even if you are a very strange person, the way you live, you should see a doctor, you should see a specialist. Because once you go to one of them, they already have an opinion prepared for that, what they have learned in school and which could be easily attached to you. And there's always a beautiful, happy pill to be given, which may change your mind, which may work on your mindset in a way and get into your bloodstream and change you from within in a way which makes you dull, which makes you balanced, they call it, but in reality you are a walking zombie. There are many walking zombies on tranquilizers and all kinds of drugs. You see them on the streets. These are the people usually who walk and would run into a bus if they would not be held back by somebody else, or they're spending the whole day on their telephone, walking into trees, etc. Or people who just stare in front of them. These are the victims of modern medicine. It is just a simple fact that people are very, very different. And each one of you has a very unique way of being. And you may even become insecure yourself and say, something is wrong with me. I am not normal. I do not fall under the category of a normal human being because my behavior is odd, is different than that of the mainstream. And you may get confused about it and seek help, so you again become part of the general public, of the functioning public, of the consumer out there. But be aware of it. Before you go to a doctor and be treated for your unique personality, just sit back and observe yourself. Are you really unhappy? Are you unhappy with just doing that, what you enjoy most? May it be anything which the public does not accept, like sleeping all day and all night, like continuous masturbation, for example. This is something else people never speak about. Or there are the most weirdest ways people express their personality. But does it necessarily have to be bad? Even the most cruelest ideas which may come up in your mind, isn't it also a part of your very own freedom to think different and maybe even have violent tendencies which they play through your mind? As long as you do not really hurt somebody else, even that is understandable. And believe me, even people, they are very close to me, and they meditate all day, and they are very sweet and calm people, having a beautiful understanding of the world and its inhabitants. They go out on the street with a smile in their face, and believe it or not, the first person who is coming at them or which they encounter on the street, they have this strange feeling to slapping them in their face for no reason at all. Maybe this situation has happened to you also. So don't be worried that you are sick. You may just be yourself. Rudolf of Germany.